and welcome to Desertwood Days. I am your host, Kathy Blaze, and today I'm here with Mr. Daniel Blunck.
Thank you.
Actor, filmmaker. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm really excited. So happy to be on here.
It's such a pleasure to have you. That is such a nice color on you.
Thank you. I cannot claim any of this. Someone else helped me pick this out.
Well, they did a fabulous job. Blue is one of my favorite colors.
Nice.
How have you been?
Well, I guess as good as we can be, right? I've thankfully kept my health and kept my job, so.
That's awesome. That's a blessing. Daniel.
Yes.
As long as I've known you, you've been acting. Well, I met you in the film industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wondered, if you could pick your dream role, what would that be and why?
Oh, let me see. So I'm a cheat. I wonder if I can get two answers for one question. Can it be like something I've seen and I'm like, oh, I wish I could have done that role? Or is it more of something I would like to do in the future kind of thing? Or can I do both? Can I
Do
cheat
both for me. Do both for me. I'd like to know the answer.
I think Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka.
Okay.
Because he looked like he was having a blast
Yes.
doing that character. I'm like, that would be really fun. Because, he was serious and he was kind of scary at times and he was comedic and he's just all over. Like, that would really be fun. It'd really be a challenge, a fun challenge to try and play that kind of role.
Right. A real big challenge for your skill set also.
Yeah.
Comedic, a little bit of seriousness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree with that.
And then for one, like, what's a role I would like? I would like to be the lead in a romantic comedy. Only because no one ever looks at me and you know what that guy'd be good at? Romantic comedy.
Yes.
They usually look at me like, you know what that guy looks like he's good at? Killing people and committing crimes. We should hire him for that.
A hitman.
So a rom-com would be pretty cool.
I like that. You know what? We always want to do something that others don't perceive us as doing.
Yeah.
I love that. I can see that. Daniel the romantic. Did you have any role models in the film industry when you were growing up?
Oh, I think as far back as I can remember, I think the one actor that I thought, man, like, that's how it's done. If I could ever be compared to that, or if I could be as good as that, it would be Al Pacino.
Oh, that's a strong one.
Because growing up with the Godfather movies and Scarface and Scent of a Woman, things like that, like, oh, that's it. That's the way it's done. So I think for that. I think later on when I got more into acting, somebody like Marlon Brando. I went back and watched his older films. Like,
wait. You just told me you didn't want to be the hitman, but okay, look at those. Look at those two guys, the roles that they play. You don't mess with the Godfather.
Don't mess with the Godfather.
If you weren't in the industry, what would you be doing?
Oh, my goodness. I'd probably
be out there romancing the ladies.
What would I be doing? I think because I spent quite a bit of my adult life in the construction field, I'd probably still be doing that.
Okay.
Hopefully I would have learned enough skills where I don't have to be out swinging a hammer. I don't think my body could have lasted that long. I don't think I'm built to swing a hammer for decades on end, but that's probably what I'd be doing if I never got into film.
Wow, interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. That's some very strenuous work.
It is, especially out here.
And don't take a lot of energy to make people laugh, does it?
Not nearly as much as.
So, you would be a construction worker if you. I don't think I want to see Daniel well, maybe I do want to see Daniel as a construction worker.
Depending on the film.
Yes, depending on the film. Tell us about your most memorable moment on set.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna try and tell the story where, cause I'm not trying to call people out. I'm not trying to embarrass anyone. Got a role person called me and said, Daniel, can you help me out? Their actor had to drop. They got like a big acting gig out in LA, and they said, sorry, I can't do your project. So, okay, when are we filming? I think it was like 4 days. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, well, send me that script real quick.
Right.
I'll help you best I can. So went through the day, and it was everything was going great. And we're setting up for the last scene of the day. And the director comes in and says, okay, let's really map this out. It's a big one take. I'm like, okay. So he starts talking about, okay, so first this happens, right? And then this thing, and I'm flipping through my script, like, where is this?
Where's that in the script, huh?
Yeah. He's like, yeah, and he grabs the script and, goes over to his laptop and like, we didn't send you the final script, locked script. We sent you the one before that.
Wow.
We rewrote the last scene, but we didn't send you that version. He's like, here's like, oh, okay, it's all new lines. It's all like,
So they gave you the wrong script, you're saying?
They did. They did. And I said, okay, how long till picture's up? He says, well, the 20 more minutes the crew needs to set up the camera and kind of go with the camera moves. That's okay. You give me that 20 minutes and I'll give you this scene. But you got to give me that 20 minutes. All right. What did I just agree to? I can't pull this off in 20 minutes.
Right. But see, you're a professional, so you were going to tell him that.
Right. It's like, I sounded confident. So,
yes.
Okay. So, well, now I gotta do it. I think the very first take we did, something about the sound messed up. We'd always have like a plane flew over or something. And I think that actually helped because it gave me sort of like an extra take. Like, okay, so we did the second one. I think we did 2 takes. And I hear, like, hey, do you want another one? And someone says back, if you want one more for safety, but we got it.
Wow.
So we did one more for safety. I'm thinking, how did we do that? How did we pull that off?
How did you pull that off?
But that's probably the most memorable because we had to get, I think because they had so much equipment rented that day, we couldn't come back.
Right,
like,
right.
We got to get it today.
Right.
It was like, okay, Daniel.
Right. So you know what that is doing? That is an excellent example to aspiring actors. You go there, it's not just about you, it's about that whole production.
Yeah.
So you did what you had to do as a professional actor. You got it done.
Got it done. That's right.
And moving on from that, Daniel, if there is anything that you can change in the industry right now, what would that be?
Oh, if I could be a fairy godmother and kind of like wave my magic wand and change something, it would finally for us to achieve fair representation. Or let me be more specific. I would change the way we discuss fair representation and then change the way we actually go about in the real world achieving that. And the reason why I say that is if you could somewhat get the whole film industry in a room. So okay, do we all agree that everybody should be treated fairly? Well, everybody's going to say yes.
Of course.
You have to go to the far end of the spectrum before somebody's like, no, I don't think we should be treating people fairly. So yeah, when it comes to agreeing on the theoretical, well, sure, yes, we should be treating everyone fairly.
Right.
We shouldn't be prejudiced and favoring this group of individuals over this group.
Right.
It just seems like as soon as we take one step into the real world, and we actually have to now reach that goal, in reality, everything falls apart. Which again, it's human nature, right? I have opinions and beliefs and points of view first. Then I look at the evidence. And if there's a piece of evidence that agrees with what I think, there's the proof. See, I'm right.
Right.
But if there's a piece of evidence that doesn't agree with me, I will attack it. I will do everything I can to discredit.
Or we don't see it.
Or we don't see it at all. right? And it
Right.
becomes that, well, what about this? What about this? Unfortunately, we see it everywhere. People are attacking things they don't agree with. Well, we don't attack the things we do agree with. I don't look at what I believe and go, what about this though, Daniel? Okay, what about this though, Daniel? I really scrutinize myself.
So when you're talking about representation, you mean representation as people as a whole, that everyone is treated fairly and equal. Is that what you're meaning by that?
Yeah, because if we look at metrics, okay, what would we use to judge whether we're getting any closer to fair representation? Now you might say, well, who's getting the lead roles in movies? Or who's getting nominated for Best Director?
Right.
Whose stories are we telling?
Right.
Which writers are getting their stories made? Right? There's things like that.
Well, you know what? If you look at it, I want to say like in the corporate world, I mean, even though sometimes things are still a little iffy when it comes to representation, but still there's processes in place to follow, policies and procedures. And I think because everyone is so independent, they make their own rules. There's not a set policy or set procedures that we follow. Okay. So I think with it being that way, it's going to always be hard until we get to this place where we have policies and procedures for the film industry or for actors or whatever the case may be. I mean, this is what we do. Not to say it's going to always be black and white, but there has to be some policies in place so that John can say, well, I want to do it this way. I don't want to hire these types of people, or I don't want to do that. And I think until we have something like that, we're going to always have that issue.
Yeah. And like you said, it's always going to be a struggle. It shouldn't be, right? Like I said, when we go back to theoretical, like we all agree that people should be treated fairly.
Right.
And yet, when it comes down to, okay, how do you actually achieve that?
Right.
Do I have to do this? Do I have to do that? Whatever it is, then the emotions.
You know what, this is going to be a topic we're going to have to discuss another day and time. It was a pleasure to bring it up today.
Oh, good.
And it was a pleasure to have you on our show today.
I love being here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us today, and we will catch you next time on Desertwood Days.